Welcome to the Sloppy Syndicate show with your trashiest host, White Trash Donnie. As you can tell, we're a little different scenery. So we are up in Virginia on the farm, and we are coming to you on the road essentially. So we have Dead Groove in the green room. A little bit about Dead Groove: they formed in 2020 in Los Angeles, California, and acid rock, heavy rock, and they have a ton of talent. So we'll bring some of the talent on. Holly, she's the lead singer for Zepparilla, which is a female-fronted Led Zeppelin tribute band. We got Fred, who plays the drums from Peru. He's been in some not high profile, but been in some huge bands, Power Flow, one of them, and Caesar, who is not joining us, is he was one of the voices on, or one of the voices, one of the judges on The Voice of Peru, and helped Holly and Fred kind of get this music going in 2020. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get talking with Holly and Fred. I know Holly has a show tonight, so
I love it. What's up, bro?
how,
Thanks for having us,
how are
Donnie.
we doing? Pleasure to have you on the
Good.
show. But
Good. Thank you.
I know, Holly, you have a show coming up here shortly, so you got loaded in that.
Yeah.
So we'll keep it as quick as we possibly can.
Yeah, no problem.
And, so just released the Book of the Dead. Before that, you released Maverick. So a huge hit with Maverick. And then that was released, February 15th, if I'm correct?
Mhm.
And then we just released the Book of the Dead today at midnight. So this is a little party we're throwing,
Yeah.
for the release. So thank you for joining us. And
Thank you.
if you are not joining us right now, thank you for joining us in the future on the podcast. Fred, we'll start with you. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, what brought you to the band, and things like that. And then we'll get to Holly from there.
All right. Well, I'm 31 years old. I moved into the US like 5 years ago. I decided to start from zero. So I started joining bands. I played with several bands. I got the chance of joining Powerflow in 2018. We toured Europe. We did really good stuff with them. And then at the same time, I also joined Billy Bio, which is Billy Graziadi from Biohazard. He's also in Powerflow. So he invited me to join his band, and I was like, sure, dude, let's do it. And then I hear the songs, and it's all hardcore, straight hardcore, And I was like, I was new on it, so I was like, fuck it, I'll do it. And then I started. I also play with the band called Culprit. It's a metal band from the '80s. They used to tour with Metallica back in '82, '83. So now they are having a new lineup. The bassist is the original, and now we're putting a new record out. So yeah, that's Culprit. I also have a band called Fractures. So I'm kind of like all over the place right now,
You're a
working,
busy
and
dude.
I'm a working musician. So one of them right now, I'm actually filling in for Bias. I'm filling in for David Silveira.
Okay, awesome.
So that's definitely a really awesome gig. It's really cool. So I've been working so much with all these bands, so I got to the point where I was like, you know what, I need to write my own music. I need to come up with something that is really cool, that everybody's gonna like it, and I'm gonna love it. So I got the chance to start playing with Holly right before the pandemic. So we had a lot of jams. We used to just get together and jam like for hours and hours, coming up with riffs and grooves and stuff like that. So after almost a year and a half, we were like, you know what? Let's make a band. Let's start writing songs and let's make this happen. So the perfect guy for me was Caesar. He's I used to be in a band with him called Mauser. It's actually his band. It's called Mauser Peru. They have already like 3 records. They are huge in Peru. So when I had to move in here, I had to leave the band. So it's been like a long gap that I had with those guys. So that's why I wanted to bring Caesar in, because he's really great writing. He's a really great producer, and he's an amazing singer also. So that's how actually that groove came up to be something real. So Holly and I, we had a trip last year. We went to Peru in December, and we went to awesome places like Machu Picchu and all these awesome places. And then
Okay.
coming back, we came back to Lima, and we got together with Caesar, and we started rehearsing. We already had like 3 songs on the works, so we just rehearsed, and then we went straight to the studio. I record drums in one day, then the next day we record basses and then vocals, and then pretty much it was pretty quick. It
Awesome.
went down quick, yeah.
Yeah, so I know Fred is super busy. As he just stated, he well-known drummer, clearly, and he's drumming in multiple bands. And then we have the talented Holly West, who lives out in LA and is female fronted of the Led Zeppelin tribute band. So let's welcome Holly. And Holly, tell us a little bit
Hey.
about yourself.
Yeah. Well, actually, I don't front the band. I'm the bass
Oh,
player.
sorry. Okay.
That's okay. It's okay. So I'm from Dallas originally, and was in a bunch of bands out there. And in 2019, I decided to make my way to California. I had already put out a record called Mokita with I had Gary Hoey on guitars, and Brady Blade on drums. It's kind of like my, power trio style that I like. It was my kind of debut of singing. People didn't know that I sang, so but it did pretty well, and I at least had some content when I moved out here. And so I was playing in Zepparella by about 2018, so I'd already been also established in the bass community as well. And of course I want to get my new music out and stuff, and thankfully Fred and I met at the right time, right before the pandemic started. We actually were together, we lived together in Long Beach,
Oh,
so
very cool.
it kind of makes things easier
Right.
because we can practice whenever we want. And then we're both touring musicians as well, so we definitely understand each other's lives and stuff. So it's kind of cool to work with your partner, especially when they're as badass as Fred.
Right.
And so yeah, I started looking for bandmates in 2019, and coincidentally ended up at one of Fred's gigs and met him. And a few months later, he asked me to come and jam. And our first jam session was like our first date, and we jammed for like 4 hours.
So was it love at first chord?
It
Yes,
was pretty amazing, to be honest,
first chord.
because it's very hard to find musicians that can just jam, and so drum and bass was just really easy for us to jam and stuff. So it was really cool, and it just kept getting stronger and stronger the more we jammed together and stuff. So we do have like a couple of episodes of the Holly and Fred show on YouTube where it's just us jamming.
Okay. I'll have to check that
and
out.
and that's kind of where a lot of these ideas started coming from for the band. I had already written some songs like Maverick. Maverick was my first song I wrote when I came to California. And so throwing it into a power trio obviously changes it a lot, and producing different arrangements and stuff. Uh, so it just kind of grew into this really cool, powerful song that we were able to release. And the Book of the Dead is Fred got really into the Egyptian Book of the Dead and the stories and stuff behind that. And I'm super into creative writing. I like to write things that are make you think, and it's not just all about love and whatever. I feel like anybody can write a good love song. Um, so he Caesar had sent us the riffs for the Book of the Dead, and I was a tiny bit lost at first because it wasn't a classic like I'm used to it. So I'm like, okay, so what am I going to do with this? What am I going to do with this? And so I asked Fred what I should write about, and he said, write about the Egyptian Book of the Dead. And like within an hour, I had it all written and ready to go. And so we went back and put vocals on it, and it really seems to be like a quintessential Dead groove song. You know, like
Right.
it's all three of us really throwing ourselves out there, and we really really dig it. So yeah, I mean that's I'm playing Zepparella and doing Dead Groove pretty much, and then Fred and I both are actually Caesar as well. We all teach our instruments and stuff. So
Okay, very
it's
cool.
so we're a very very musical group of people.
So let's take a moment, say hello to the people in the chat. We got MVK Music Group joining us, Russ,
Cool.
Daniel. Yes, I am in the dark, folks. Donnie Darko. I am up in Virginia, so I do not have the studio lighting with me, but I brought the essentials that we could do a show with. So this is the Dead Groove Band, super talented trio. So you got Fred on drums, Caesar, who is not with us tonight, and then we have Holly, who does bass and the vocals. Very like I don't want to say it's acid rock, but it's very classic. You get a classic vibe from it, especially with Maverick, and some of the guitar riffs in there. They start super high and then they just like you take it down low. So definitely give them check them out. I fell in love with Maverick, and
Cool.
I said, hey, I want to get them on the show and get them some exposure. They just started in 2020, and they have 2 songs out now. Maverick, which was their first single, and then we are celebrating the Dead Groove single today, and that is out now, folks. So you can check that out on all the platforms. And if I'm correct, you're currently working on an EP or a full album.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
are right now. Just this was like kind of like our deadline. You know, we wrote these songs first, and we were like, okay, once we release the Book of the Dead, we're gonna just get full on and just writing. For us, it would be perfect at full length. That's our goal. So right now, we're just gonna start writing and just sending things back and forth, riffs and grooves and stuff like that, so we can get some awesome songs down. We kind of found our style with the Book of the Dead, even
Mm,
though Maverick is a great song. As Holly said, she wrote that song as a instrumental, kind of super
a
bluesy.
blues, yeah, blues
Uh,
song.
it didn't have the chorus in there.
Yeah.
It didn't have the instrumental part in the middle. So that's all our work pretty
Mhm.
much on top of what she created.
Yeah, I literally just it was a blues song, whole blues progression, and there was no, no choruses or anything. And it was about me moving away from like everything that I knew and starting a new life in California. And something always really struck me with that song. I really loved it, and everybody that has heard it really loved it. So pulling that in as the first song was special for me for sure. But the way that Caesar kind of rearranged the guitar parts and stuff was really really cool too. I don't mind putting something out there and then having my bands change it to make it cooler. I'm not like kind of
Absolutely.
stuck in a way. I think you if you pick the right members and the right people to work on your music, then you'll always be happy.
Absolutely. So, how did the band get its name? And let's say Tila's here, so welcome in, Tila.
Hey, Tila.
Hey man.
So, how did the band get its name?
Uh, Fred, you wanna?
Well, yeah. While we were working on these songs, we had Maverick and the Book of the Dead, and we already had these 2 options. We were in between Maverick as a band or Dead Groove, because we already had this clothing company. Me and Holly came out with a clothing company, um, pretty much in 2020.
Okay.
Early 2020,
So
yeah.
I'm also a graphic artist. I'm graphic designer. I also do freelance work. So me and her, we wanted to put this business together. So will come up with all these designs, music related, for drummers. We did one that is Holly's signature. That is called Deep Groove. That is like a her as a skull playing bass. So that's how actually the name Dead Groove came, and it was
Mm.
Dead Groove Clothing. So we were like, all right, should we make like the whole branch as a Dead Groove, or should we go with Maverick? So we asked everybody, everybody, and it was like a 50-50. Everybody wanted Maverick and everybody wanted Dead Groove. So I was like, you know what? Let's go with Dead Groove. Let's make a huge brand out of it. Music, clothing, art, and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely picked Dead Groove is a little more catchier to me than Maverick. So
Right?
you guys
Yeah.
picked the right one.
Yeah.
And Attila says congratulations on the new
Thank you.
release. Um, Definitely a banger. So go check it out on all. It's on YouTube. Where can they also find you at if you have apparel or things like that? We just spoke. You guys have your clothing line.
Hmm.
Where can we find the Dead Groove Band at?
We have a
Uh,
couple websites actually. We have deadgrooveclothing.com where you can buy all of our merch and then other clothing that Dead Groove Clothing offers. And then we have deadgroove.com or deadgrooveband.com. And then of course we're on Spotify, YouTube, any of your
ev-
streaming services.
every single one.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going through CD Baby, so they just post it everywhere.
Okay, awesome. And then if you cannot find them, you can always check out the sloppysyndicateshow.com. There will be a link in there to the podcast as well as all of their links for the clothing company, the band, as well as their social media links as well. So we will definitely get them taken care of on that. So what is in the future for you guys? I know you guys are working on an EP or a full length album, depending on how much you guys get written. Is
Hmm.
there a tour in sight, or what are you guys looking
Well,
at for the rest of the year?
actually,
Yeah,
uh,
we're actually working on a tour.
uh-huh.
Actually,
This
our first tour is gonna be in Peru.
it just got confirmed yesterday.
Oh,
Hmm.
very cool. Okay.
Yeah. We Fred was Mr. put his tour manager pants on and got us some good people to work with down in Peru. So we're gonna do 5 dates in Peru. And we're bringing Cutthroat LA with us, which are some really cool hardcore guys, friends of ours. And then we're gonna have Mauser play, and then the Pantera tribute.
Yeah, I also have a Pantera tribute in Peru. So this time when we went to Peru in December, we organized this Pantera tribute, and it was insane. It was
It was
really
huge, yeah,
awesome. A lot of
yeah.
people. So now that we are coming back, we're planning to do this tour in late October, and then going through the first week of November, and it's gonna be like a festival tour, and it's like the Pantera tribute, Dead Groove. Caesar is also playing with Mauser, and we're bringing
Cutthroat.
Cutthroat LA. It's a hardcore band. They're huge in Europe. They're also big in Japan. So yeah, it's looking really, really, really good. So I think that's gonna be our first tour.
So I just got to be like, what does Fred not do? He does graphic designing.
Yeah.
He does. I mean, he books the tours. He does. I mean,
Mhm.
he's the jack of all trades. So
Yeah. And he does
definitely.
all of our social media. I'm so bad at it because I don't know. It's a racket to me half the time. And he's just always on there posting. He's like, okay, I posted for today. I'm like, thank you.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
do all the art, all the videos, all the stuff. Me and
Well,
Holly,
I do some of
we
the
work
videos too.
on the music
Yeah.
videos. That's all
Yeah.
us.
We edit all of the videos together.
Yeah, see, I'm pretty good with Instagram. Facebook, I wasn't really a big fan of, but I'm getting more into it. Obviously,
Okay.
that's another platform for all of us to grow on. And
Mhm.
then Twitch. Twitch is like a foreign world to me, so I'm trying to learn
There you
Twitch so I
go.
can
Yeah.
stream on Twitch.
Hmm.
Because Twitch is a little more open. Like I wanted to play, the song, but I get the copyright claim, and then I have to fight with YouTube, and
Hmm.
if the record company doesn't approve it, then it's a whole nightmare to deal with, the regulate not regulations, but the copyrights on YouTube. So sorry, folks, you don't get to listen to it here, but you can definitely go check out the Dead Groove Band and their newest single, "The Book of the Dead." And Holly has just some great vocals. It's kind of hard to
Thank you.
explain. You would have to definitely check the song out, but the vocals just go along with the style.
Thank
You
you.
guys are creating a style, not just a band. There's a style, there's a sound, and it's definitely unique. And you guys are taking that as the super trio that you guys are, and just making that your own. And you guys are 2 songs in, and I see you guys blowing up. So
Oh, thank
uh,
you.
And
Thank
I know
you.
you
Nice.
guys are busy as heck. Like you said, you got, we do Pantera tribute band. Holly's
Mhm.
doing the Led Zeppelin tribute band, and Holly is playing bass and vocals with the Dead Groove band. So, I mean, there's no telling where you'll see these guys at. And any bands that you guys would like to tour with or play on. If you had to choose, this is kind of one of my questions I always
Ooh,
ask. If you had to choose, yes, there's 50 bands come to mind, but if you had to choose one band, past or present, to tour with, who would you pick and why?
Clutch.
Clutch. Okay, good answer. Good answer.
They're my favorite band, and um, I just I've always loved their style. I feel like it just speaks to me, so I kind of bring that in my own style. So I would love to tour with Clutch at some point.
I would definitely say Jack White.
Jack
Mm,
White. Okay, that's a good
Mm-hmm.
answer. Not a
mm.
common
Opening for
answer, but
Jack
it's a
White
good
would
answer.
be beautiful.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
cool.
he's definitely a talented artist for sure, and he's actually a Michigan native, if I'm correct,
Hmm.
and he sang the national anthem for opening day in Detroit not too long ago.
Yeah, a couple
Yeah,
a
like a
few days
week
ago.
ago. Sick.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, good old Michigan boy. So definitely got to give him some props. And as you stated you're doing a tour in Peru. Are you guys working on any tours? I know you guys are in LA. Or any West
Mm-hmm.
Coast tours or Midwest tours that you guys are working on?
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm just
yeah,
doing
we're
this interview.
we're definitely looking into it. We wanna figure out because once I start going with my band, I'm playing with the Bullet Boys. They had some kind of nightmare, and then they got a new lineup. So now I'm part of the Bullet Boys too. So now we're gonna start playing shows, and there's gonna be a good opportunity of us opening for Bullet Boys and also for Separella. So yeah, at any
Yeah,
time
for sure.
a show in the US is gonna pop up.
Awesome. Yeah. And Holly, we're going to have to let Holly go here shortly. She
Yeah,
does have to warm up and load in for her show
yeah.
tonight. So
Mill
anytime
Valley.
you need to go, Holly, just let us
Yeah,
know and we'll get
I'm
some
okay
final
right
words from
now.
you. Okay.
I'm okay right
Awesome.
now. The band just showed up, so I got kicked out of the dressing room. So I'm in the other dressing room now.
Okay. All
Hmm.
right. No worries there. And
There's one thing that MVK group put is it such a small world. We have a sister apparel company called Maverick. That's
Maverick.
Yeah,
Okay.
awesome.
Yeah.
How awesome is
crazy.
that? Crazy.
Right. And
Yeah.
so if you guys, I mean, you're with MVK. So how crazy would that have been? Maverick with, MVK and then Maverick Apparel. It'd be like
I was just thinking to it, I'm so glad we didn't call it Maverick because that was gonna be like
right. It'd be like,
weird.
well, what are we talking about? We're talking about the band, the clothing, or the music group. So,
Hmm.
yeah, that definitely worked out in everybody's favor by picking Dead Groove, and it's a little more catchier. I feel obviously, and that's my opinion. Um,
Yeah, kind
so how
of.
long have so Holly? Like, what got you started into music, and who were some influential aspects of your musical career? Because you've been in music for a long time. So,
Yeah. So I started playing instruments when I was 12, but I didn't actually like really. It didn't really sink in until I was in my late 20s. And I just ended up joining a band as a bass player and just throwing myself into it. I mean, I literally knew the names of the strings when I went to my first rehearsal. So, so I got in a band in Dallas and just started working, trying to figure out how to play the bass like 3 to 6 hours a day. And I became a pretty well-known bassist in Dallas. And my influences for bass have always been, like I said, Clutch. I like Rival Sons a lot. Um, I like who else do I like? There's so many to name. Um, but like oh, Dorothy. Do you know?
Dorothy, yeah, that's
I
another good
love
one.
Dorothy. Yeah, and I actually opened for her in Dallas one time, and it was a really really good fit. I ended up with a bunch of her fans becoming my fans that night because our music is very similar. But I kind of I had her on my list of I had Clutch, Rival Sons, and Dorothy on my list of when I sent my to my engineer and my mastering guy. I was like, this is the sound I'm looking for. So those three were definitely on the top. Uh, and as far as like, yeah, I've been doing so I've been playing bass, I play guitar, vocals, and then I teach now as well. So I'm going to be learning a lot more. um, so yeah, that's pretty much it. But when I was a kid, my musical influences were Cheap Trick and all the way to like Whitney Houston.
Right.
I loved to sing when I was younger, but I had a really mean older brother, so whenever I would sing, I would get made fun of, which is why it took me so long to get really into music, you know. But I'm glad that now my brother's my friend and he supports me and
Mean old brother, right? You
your
know,
mean old brother.
yeah, I would,
But
I would say my musical, influences are all over the board. Like you said, I remember, uh, jamming out to Megadeth and, the hard rock, metal bands back in the day, and then going to Alabama for the June Jam,
mhm,
which Alabama, the band, country band, one of the bigger, obviously everybody knows who Alabama, the country band
yes.
is. They did a June Jam festival where they'd have, the weekend they'd have a ton of bands. We go down and camp, and so I was kind of torn in the middle, like, I'm being drawn to the countryside, I'm being drawn to the rock side. So, musically diverse, which is great because I enjoy all kinds of music, and I don't have to pick sides. So, um, if you want to play some metal country, play some metal country. If I'm down for it. So,
Yeah.
Fred, what are some of your influences? I know you're from Peru, so
Yeah, well, I started playing drums when I was 13 years old. My dad used to have a band. Well, in South America, they have like a called orquesta that they play like everything. They play like rock, salsa, cumbia, merengue, every single genre that you can imagine. They will play. So that's how I started learning all these different kind of music, and from that whole set, one song will be a rock song. So I was like, that was the moment for me to shine, and yeah, let's do it. You know what I mean? So I started playing with my dad's band when I was 15. So it took me like 2 years to learn from the drummer, and then he had to leave. So he was like, you know what, you're gonna play. And I was 15, and I was like, okay. So that's how all this trip started. So I started playing that kind of music, but my thing back in the day was like, I don't know, I was into progressive metal a lot. I was like a Dream Theater guy. I would like then I started going back. I was starting like getting to Yes, getting into Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and all this good stuff, you know. And that's pretty much how actually brought me to this kind of music, just rock and roll and what whatever is good music. But I've been also into metal, you know, super metal. I used to play with the band from Pomona. It was black metal. I would just chord paint and everything, just so I can get better with my double pedal. You know what I mean? It's a
right.
whole process that you gotta take. It's a whole thing that you gotta do so you can master the double pedal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the double pedal's no joke, and you can watch, some of Fred's videos, and he's just going to town on it. And I'm like, I can't even move one foot that fast, let alone two. Um, yeah, so definitely a talented trio, and it's a match made in heaven essentially because you both are so musically talented.
Thank
And
you.
so what sticks out in your mind, like one of the craziest tour stories or one of the craziest things that happened on tour? It's probably a loaded question. I mean, there's so much crazy stuff that happens.
Oh, yeah, let me
There's got to be
think.
one that stands out, and you're like, "Yep, I'll never forget that."
I have one. This was my first European show, my first Europe tour with Powerflow, and our first show was Download
Oh.
in UK. So it was like this huge festival, and we were playing main stage, the same day as Guns N' Roses and everything. So I was super jet lagged. We got there the night before. We got the tour bus, and then once you get there, the only time you can finally kind of go to sleep is like 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 5:30. I was like, wow. So I wake up and it's like 11:30. We were supposed to go on at noon, like really early, and I wake up and nobody was in the bus. Everybody was already there setting up. They were like teasing me big time. Then the new guy. So I wake up and they're like, "Where is everybody?" And I gotta go to the schedule because nobody was there, and you gotta get a shuttle so you can get to the stage because it's such a big festival. So I got there to main stage, and everybody was late, and I was like, "Oh, thank God!"
It's not just me.
And it's not just me. Why? Because Parkway Drive, this huge band, they were setting up in our stage, but they messed up. They were supposed to go to main stage one and not to main stage two. So they messed up, and they have all these things on stage where the drums like move, all this machinery, whatever. So they had to move everything out. And then we were like, the guys were like, okay, we have 15 minutes to make this happen. You know what I mean? So we went crazy, set up everything. As soon as doors open, the crowd just come to the stage like they are zombies, like, "Rah!" And then we start playing. You know what I mean? Everything went well, but was crazy.
Any fun stories for you, Holly?
I guess one that comes to mind is my first tour with Zepparella. I lived in Dallas at the time, so I was always flown out, and I flew to San Francisco. We did rehearsals, and then I was supposed to just stay on the. We drive a big Sprinter van, and so I was going with the drummer, who's usually the driver. Oh, sorry, my thumbs. And so on the way to Arizona, which was our first trip, I'm in the back just shredding Zeppelin, getting ready for my first show with them and everything. And I look up and there's all these mountains and it's gorgeous. And I'm like, oh, it just feels so surreal, right? And we get to the venue, and the venue is actually kind of odd because it's a sit-down dinner type show. Zeppelin is not a sit-down dinner type show, but it's sold out, and these people pay a lot. So we're like, okay, we pay, we play. So Clem and I get to the venue, and I'm like, oh, they have posters up. I'm so excited. Like, my first poster was Zepparella. And I get over to the posters, and I look, and they had pulled a picture of Nita Strauss off the internet and thought it was me. So I have a picture of Nita Strauss playing guitar. It says Holly West.
Hilarious.
Hey, we'll take it, right?
Yeah. And what's crazy though is that the singer and guitar player were traveling together from San Francisco on a plane, and their flight was late. So Clem and I, on my first show with them, had to set up all of the equipment to get, like, just her and I. And then I'm getting ready, to go. We're getting ready to go on stage, and they're still not there. It took them we ended up going on stage like 30 minutes after we were supposed to be on stage. But it was a good night, and it was a good show. So
yeah, I've seen so many crazy things just being in the audience. I remember 30 Seconds to Mars. He climbed, what's his name? Is it Jared Leto? Is that the lead singer?
Mhm. Yeah.
He climbed, I mean, this was back like Taste of Chaos tour. I think this was a long time ago. But I mean, he climbed all the way to the stage, and I'm like, oh, like he's climbing the stage itself, and he goes and sits up top and sings, and I'm just like thinking he's gonna fall. And then shortly after that, he's sitting up there. He starts walking down. This young kid, probably 19, 20, runs on stage, jumps on the speaker, and then tries to jump in the crowd to crowd surf, and nobody catches him, and he just bam right on the face.
Poor guy.
I mean, that's one that comes to mind. I have so many crazy stories that probably are not radio approved, but yes, that was one that comes to mind. Just seeing, I'm not climbing the stage that was just set up and going to the top, and then I'm certainly not jumping off any speakers and landing on.
Exactly. You gotta make sure you gotta make sure somebody's gonna get
catch
you. You know what I mean? So something
My-
happened with me also with Billy. We were playing in Berlin in Germany, and and this girl, friends of the guys, she wanted to do this crowd surfing so bad. So we tell her, okay, before you jump, you need to let everybody know that you are there. Lift your arms. Everybody sees you. Jump. All right, cool. So she was like, yeah, perfect. And then when she gets to go, she just goes straight, jump,
Oh no.
floor, face in the floor. You know what I mean? We were like, "What happened? We told you."
Talk about a trust fall. They'll never trust a fall again.
Oh
Damn, man.
gosh. My drummer was just telling me a story. We happened to be a long time ago at the same festival in Austin. But she said at this festival, there was a band that crowd surfed, the entire band crowd surfed. So the drummer had a snare and he was on his drum throne and he was crowd surfing as they were picking him up in his drum throne with his snare. And of course the guitar player, bass player, and singer. And so they're all standing on top of the crowd playing a song.
That's
I don't
awesome.
remember. I don't know what the band is called,
I
but
I think
wow.
that I think the guys from Fever 33 they do that.
Maybe
Oh,
that's who it
33. Yeah.
was. Yeah, maybe that's who it was. Because it's fun fest, and Slayer was the main.
Okay.
So it's possibly that it was 333
Yeah, how
or
awesome
Fever
is that?
333.
Yeah, I know Andrew from Evergreen Terrace. He likes to, the lead singer of Evergreen Terrace. He likes to take the microphone, jump in the crowd, and crowd surf.
Mhm.
The remainder of the band stays on the stage, but he
Yeah.
always interacts and jumps out there and crowd surfs a little bit. So it's pretty interacting. Not that I would trust the people to keep me up, but
I don't think I'd do
Yeah.
it.
right.
and and now with the whole COVID thing, you know what I mean? I have this I also play with a System of a Down tribute.
Okay.
So we were playing this show in Riverside, and then this is like right after they lift up all the mandates and stuff like that. So the guitar player, he does this thing when we play Toxicity. He goes in the middle of the crowd and then he start playing in the middle of the mosh pit. Super cool thing. So he went there, and then the next day he was sick. He was with COVID and stuff.
Yeah. So fortunately, Florida, I mean, everything's opening back up. So it's good to have music coming back to our lives. So you guys certainly took advantage of it during the
Mhm.
quarantine and formed a band and are knocking out some bangers now. And with an EP or full album coming up this year. And Fred obviously is who knows where Fred will be. He's got so many things to do, whether it's
Mhm.
graphic design or touring with a band or
Mhm.
another band or another band. But
Yeah, it's
Fred's the
getting
man for
crazy.
drums. If you need drums, call Fred. Fred will help you out.
Pretty
So,
much.
um, I know Holly, you have to go, so we'll wrap it up here shortly.
Thanks.
What is something that you would like the fans to know about Dead Groove?
That we're definitely working really hard behind the scenes to bring cool content and cool songs. And it's just us. It's just us doing it. We're not. We do have the help of some MVK, of course, is helping us a little bit. We haven't signed any paperwork or anything yet, but we're still an indie band. But we are definitely, looking to make that next jump into some big things. So the tour that we just confirmed yesterday is the first step in that direction, and we're definitely going to be, recording new stuff soon. And so just if you like it, stick around. We've got more stuff coming.
Yep, and you're unsigned as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I know there's watching the Space Zebra show. They're they bring unsigned bands to the forefront, and we
Mm-hmm.
really don't put a lot of thought into it at first. You just think,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you hear something on the radio, or I mean, even Spotify. A lot of those bands are unsigned, and
Yeah.
it's really kind of a shame because there's so many good bands out there that are unsigned
Mm-hmm.
or just don't have the exposure yet.
Yeah.
So, folks, I encourage you, click something on Spotify that you don't, that you wouldn't regularly click on, and just listen to it and see what songs. That's what I do now. I'm like, I Magnolia Park, Magnolia Bayou. There's so many artists that I've discovered just by letting my Spotify play
Mm-hmm.
that I would have never known. So some of those I'd love to have on the show. Just to get them some exposure. Because like yourselves, you're super talented, and you're getting started with the Dead Groove Band. So any exposure helps and kind of helps promote. So the internet and Spotify are huge. Free promotion. Well, I don't want to say free promotion, but Instagram and things like that
Mhm.
are, huge free promotional tools. So search a
Yeah.
band, search anything. You never know what you'll find. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, definitely support local music, support unsigned artists, and
And tell your friends.
right, tell your friends, tell your mammy or pappy, whoever you got to tell.
That's right.
Get the word out there, spread it. And unfortunately, the time has come. Holly does have to go.
I gotta go load in.
Does have to go,
I gotta go play a rock show.
right. So,
We're
and then,
sold out tonight and tomorrow night.
oh, nice. And you're playing in LA?
No, I'm playing in Mill Valley.
Mill Valley. Okay.
Yeah, California.
And so, folks, we're going to end that here. The Sloppy Syndicate Show. Pleasure having the Dead Groove Band on. And anytime, you are more than welcome to come on. And until next time, folks, remember, keep it sloppy.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see you next time.
Okay.
All right, man. Thank you. And